All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Dr. Christina M. Castro. I am Taos Pueblo and Jemez Pueblo and Chicana. I am one of the co-founders of Three Sisters Collective. We have been in existence since 2017 to create an alternative space for indigenous people in Oga Po'geh, Santa Fe, New Mexico. I want to start off the events here with a blessing by our beloved community member, Bev Billy from Taos Pueblo, Acoma Pueblo. She will provide us a blessing. No recording during the blessing, please. And if you would be so kind as to take off your hats, that's kind of how we do it in Pueblo country. Thank you very much, Tom. Tom, thank you, Bev. All right. Again, thank you everybody for being here. I will be moderating the panel. But before we start, I want to extend some thank yous to folks that were involved in the making this mural possible. Of course, we have to start out with Matthew Chase Daniel and Lena Wall for helping make this happen. Dawn Gómez, co-founder of Three Sisters Collective, for the incredible mural design and concept that you came up with. Dunn Edwards Paint, artist in Santa Fe, Stephen Auger, Willem Malton, Demand Nuclear Abolition, the Rauschenberg Foundation, the Three Sisters Collective Artist Apprentices, the Sayain from Table Women United for being here today, honoring us with your presence. Eileen in the In-Betweens, thank you for playing music after this panel. And all the artists that helped make this mural possible and community that came through. We had upwards of 40 community members that came to help put their hands and hearts into this mural. So thank you. I see some of you in the audience, Pilar, others, thank you for being here. And of course to the countless New Mexicans who have given their labor, health, and lives and continue to bear the brunt of this nuclear colonial industrial complex, as well as the land and waterways, all of whom have never been afforded any restitution, much less apology for the devastation these industries have caused. Let us take a moment of silence to honor all of those who have lost their lives as a result of the manufacturing and implementation of nuclear weapons around the world over. Thank you. I Am Life, Creator of Worlds is our first monumental mural in Oga Po'geh, and it is our goal to make art that reflects our community's values and most importantly is accessible to everyone. Further, we view Three Sisters, I'm speaking on behalf of Three Sisters, we view art as one means of bringing folks together to build the beloved community that we want to see here. When we learned of Chip Thomas's mural, his Wheat Paste mural, we were excited, having wanted to collaborate with him for some time. I've been telling Matthew Chase Daniels for some time to find us a wall, and so I proposed the idea of a companion, or better yet, a conversation piece that could sit adjacent to Chip's piece. Matthew liked the idea and approached Stephen and Willem with our proposal, and they agreed. So thank you so much to all of you for making this possible. As for the theme of the mural, I Am Life, Creator of Worlds, conceptualized by Dawn with conversations with Elder Kathy Sanchez and others, Sayain, honors and prioritizes local Pueblo indigenous culture and values and elucidates the difference between these and the settler colonial nuclear bomb production happening now and increasing in Los Alamos, as well as the ever-expanding nuclear industry. For example, we have the nuclear corridor in southeastern New Mexico that is being built as a source of job creation and economic stability for New Mexicans. If you've had a chance to see the mural, the right center depicts a pregnant, expecting Pueblo woman with her energy radiating outward and animating the world around her. illuminating the original life givers and caretakers of this region who bear the brunt of the environmental degradation these industries cause. We are the land. The land is us. There is no differentiation. The three women who are embodied and portrayed in the mural are three Pueblo elder matriarchs, living Pueblo elder matriarchs who we honor very much in our community, one of which is sitting with us today on the panel, and that is Elder Kathy Wan Povi Sanchez from San Ildefonso, founding member of Tewa Women United. We also have in the mural Myrriah Naranjo of Santa Clara, Capo Owinge, founder and director of Honoring Our Pueblo Existence. And thirdly, we have Myrriah Gómez from Taos Pueblo, who is my traditional mother at Taos Pueblo and is a Kiva mother. She initiates men and women into our Kiva societies and is a farmer and tradition holder at Taos Pueblo. So those are the three matriarchs depicted in the mural. Also depicted are sacred symbols reflected of Pueblo cosmology, the four directions with the four colors of corn plants, clouds, water, mountains, etc. The entirety of the piece is about rematriation, the return to the connection with our original mother, Mother Earth, and the wisdom that she provides that has been overshadowed by almost a century, if not 500 centuries, of nuclear colonialism, and its devastating impacts on the land and bodies of the original peoples of New Mexico and all inhabitants. Here the mothers are both archetypal and embodied beings encompassing the cycles of life, including traditional agriculture that is the core of Pueblo culture that has been compromised due to the contamination of local lands and waterways by Los Alamos National Laboratories. And now to introduce our distinguished panelists, we have Elder Saya Kathy Wan Povi Sanchez from San Ildefonso Pueblo, who has dedicated her life's work and passion with the hopes and dreams of Tewa Women United. It is a multicultural and multiracial organization founded and led by Native women. As former executive director of Tewa Women United, she now serves as an elder with the Sayin Circle of Grandmothers within Tewa Women United, and has been an active promoter of well-being, connecting mind, heart, body, and spirit in remembering all to our cosmic dreaming to beloved global communities in a culture of heart-centered peace. I do have to say that all three Sisters Collective members, founders, myself, Autumn Gomez, and Autumn Billy, have all come through Tewa Women United. We all work with them and have built our foundations and our philosophies and our core values based on what we have gleaned from Tewa Women United. So thank you, Kunda Wohat. Thank you, Ta'a, for being here today. Secondly, we have the amazing Myrriah Gómez. She is from the village of, clap, clap, clap. Honored to have you here as a fellow colleague and friend. She is from the village of El Rancho in the Po'geh Valley in northern New Mexico, now calling Las Lunas home. She is currently an associate professor in the Honors College at the University of New Mexico, where she teaches courses related to Chicanx Studies, New Mexico, and environmental justice. Myrriah is a board member of Concerned Citizens for Nuclear Safety and New Mexico Humanities Council. She previously served on the steering committee for the Tularosa Basin Downwinders Consortium and assisted with their health impact statement. Her book, Nuclear Nuevo Mexico, Colonialism and the Effects of the Nuclear Industrial Complex on Nuevo Mexicanos, was recently awarded a Southwest Book Award and an International Latino Book Award. Myrriah is a wife, mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, and is lucky to live, work, and play and pray nearby her ancestral homelands. If you have not read Nuclear Nuevo Mexico yet, please go buy the book or order it from an independent book publisher or get it at your local library. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much. Autumn Dawn, my sister in spirit. from the Comanche and Taos Pueblo nations. She was born here in Oga Po'geh and called the Northern Rio Grande Valley home. Autumn studied art and writing at the Institute of American Indian Arts and then went on to support Pueblo youth through Tewa Women United. During this time, Autumn learned how to teach healthy relationship skills, healthy sexuality, and body sovereignty, and trained as a birth doula, attending several births. In 2017, Autumn co-founded Three Sisters Collective, an Indigenous women and femme-centered art and community care collective looking to create safe spaces for all Indigenous women and families in Oga Po'geh, Santa Fe. As art director, Autumn creates public murals and curates accessible art experiences for community members. They currently spends time with family, working on art for community, learning about local plants, and experimenting with music, media, and functional art. Thank you for being here, sibling. Okay, so ready for some questions? Okay, so this is the first one. It could be said that we've always had oppositional forces to contend with as land-based peoples here in New Mexico and beyond, but it seems more apparent or heightened at this time. What do you believe is most significant about the time that we're in now, and how do you honor the past, the present, and future together in this critical moment? This is a heavy one. Start with the heavy one.
Testing. Okay. So it is a critical moment. Yoho, everyone. Good afternoon. It is a critical moment that we are all in. I think that we all are here partially because we know that and that we care about that. And right now, I would say that in this room, the energy is multi-generational and very diverse in that we all come from different walks of life. And I think that is a power that we have right now. Being able to talk with my elder here or our other elders in the room, or being able to have a conversation with our younger folks, even our elementary schoolers, about what world do we want to see, where do we want to go, what do we all think are good ideas. I think that the experience that we can learn from our elders, as well as the hopefulness and the dreams that we can learn from our youth, us as like the middle ground adults, definitely I think have a responsibility to take both of those things and create new pathways with our different abilities.
Thank you, Dr. X. I'm really honored to be here on this panel today. I think as land-based peoples, we're in a critical moment right now. I think that, as Autumn said, it is multi-generational. Last year, something really shifted inside of me. We lost a lot of elders in our community. This is heavy already. Whoa. My aunt had a stroke yesterday too, and today's my dad's 82nd birthday. So I really feel the multi-generationalness. And I think that, these are the people who taught us to put our hands in the dirt, to respect the land, to respect the water. And I really feel that it is now our responsibility, like we're coming into this space where we have to carry these traditions now with the younger generation, and I'm really feeling that with my own children now. But I don't think you have to be a parent to do that, and I think that the call right now is for us to come together as community, and I think that's where I really feel the pull of art lately. I think that's what this mural does beautifully, is bringing together people from the community, from organizations, to really speak back, right? I think, in terms of calling this a conversation piece to Chip's mural, it's amazing what these two pieces are really saying together, and I know we'll get more into that later, but we can't neglect the ways that we were brought up, regardless of how much easier things could be with money from the labs, with jobs from the labs, with jobs from these industries. And that's what I'm afraid that is happening right now.
I'd like to start by introducing our centering here. We have water here with us because we are all water people. We each have water within us and water in our talk, the mist, the clouds, the multiverse. So water is here listening to us as a beingness, as a spirit. And then we have symbols of the buffalo, the animal, because they also are here with us. And as we're talking as humans, but they're also witnessing. And what's happening to us is happening to them, our wildlife, our relatives. And the bough, the plant is here because they are also living. They give us our breath, they cycle and they clean. So everything has relationality, and we must honor that connectiveness and know when it is being destroyed, know when it is not being respected, and being able to voice for them what they are telling us in whispers, in winds, in the vibrations that we're feeling. And then we also have our cornmeal, our medicine, that is used to symbolize food, but food in prayer, food for thoughts. And so all is here, and then we also have that basket of lavender pouches out there for everybody to take one. It has all the herbal plants that will help you through your times of stress. It can be boiled, it can be made into tea, you can soak your feet, you use any one of those, or you can smudge. So all those things are here in showing that what happens to the little ants on the ground, to the little plants, the little trees, our babies, and us, it's all about who is giving life, like the picture of the mural depicts, and who is taking our life. And are we strong in our mind, heart, and spirit to give voice to that which is not good? And so, and I'd like to acknowledge all our sayains. They all have their flowers. Can you lift them up so we can see your grandmas? Thank you. Our sayains. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here. They give me my strength to keep going in the hard times and the things that we're feeling. So, leave it at that for now.
Thank you. Okay, ready for the next question. What is the role of art and artists in the nuclear safety or anti-nuclear movement?
I think one thing that's become really apparent to me, and of course I learned this from Elder Kathy, in terms of calling it nuclear safety, and the work that we do is nuclear safety work. We don't get a lot of wins in this work, and I think that artists and art creates a space for joy. And oftentimes we're lacking that joy, whether it's because we're constantly fighting the patriarchy, fighting colonialism, fighting, these nuclear colonists, but also because we have to take that minute to breathe and breathe life into creation, right? Creation doesn't just have to be creation of bodies or lives. That's partly the farming and the work that we do with land also, and water, but it's also creating art. And that joy, that this mural brings me so much joy, and Eileen and the in-betweens, their music brings me so much joy, but there's so much happening. I was lucky enough to help co-curate an art show at the South Broadway Cultural Center. It just closed a couple of weeks ago, but we had so many beautiful art pieces. Some of you are nodding. I think some of you saw the works. And really what they're doing is they're creating spaces to have these conversations, because sometimes art is the place where we can open up that conversation, because these are heavy topics. And sometimes people don't know how to learn about these issues or be brought into these conversations, and art provides the space to do that. So I'm really grateful to the artists who are doing all of this work.
Autumn has the biggest piece in this. But it's good that we have different ways of expression, because there's some that is verbal, but then there's also the eyes can also take in information by seeing the beauty, seeing the symbols that we don't have words for, but the artist will be able to transform that space for us. And some of the topics is very heavy, and you get very angry. I get very angry right away when you talk about English and its pronunciation and its meaning, its interpretation, and how we as cultural people have our language with our native ways of thinking and saying, but then how to translate into all those that are surrounding in, I call it the mud pool of anger and hate, and how do you help them get out of that without having to be so against something, but what are you for? What are you for? And the art transcends that medium for us in a good way, because if you're for life, then you don't give the energy to those that take your life.
So mural making for me, it's not only a way that I can help educate community about not only the issues that we're going through, but like help educate people going through those issues with ways that maybe we can relieve some of the pressure that we feel on our hearts and souls while we're going through this, while we're quote unquote fighting this battle, while we're just in this time, in this space on earth. But also for me as a Pueblo person, I want to remind us indigenous people and show other people how beautiful it is to be a person of the earth, and how beautiful our culture is, how beautiful all the things we say, all the things we do, what that looks like in my mind and in my spirit. So that's what it's all about to me, is trying to communicate that, trying to educate folks, and to really create that beauty and share and remind ourselves that even though we are going through hard times, and even though life isn't easy at all for anyone, that we do have this beautiful way of life and this beautiful way of thinking about life. And when we do include the water and the plants and the animals and the earth and the cosmos, that's what it really becomes, is something beautiful for all of us to share.
For me, I just want to say that Autumn is very intentional about, re-indigenizing or decolonizing the art praxis, and practice to not focus on perfection. We're not creating gallery art. We're creating art from our hearts, and to kind of push back against these ideas of fine art and things of this nature that you see here in Oga Po'geh in the gallery spaces. Also, one thing we do in our murals is bring community to come help us. And I think that's just such a brilliant concept that Autumn has created, to let anybody come in and handle a paintbrush and just work, and don't worry about making mistakes. We can clean those up later, but just get involved. And for us, it's a big means of creating community. The conversations we have, the people that come through our murals, our community just grows and grows and grows. And that community doesn't always look like us, but they show up. So 3, next question. How do we take care of ourselves and our community amidst ongoing nuclear colonialism?
So when you talk about the term itself, the culture of violence has been the source of the killings, because it's violence they use. So when I was in conversation, I was corrected, and I said, it's not nuclear, it's nuclear. So, okay. So again, trying to bridge the cultural pathways of, well, do we have to have a expanded NEPA process where I say something and you interpret it and then you put it out and then it's on paper and that's it? Or do we go back and say, this is what I thought you said, and then you said, no, that's not what I meant? So there's a distinction between those that interpret and those that know the concept, so they have the root of what the intent is that you're trying to get across. So it goes back and forth. And I think art, the mural, does that a lot in giving us tools from which to have conversations. And being born in 1950, and having Los Alamos National Laboratory that created the atomic bomb in our sacred lands has made a lot of contradictions happen within our local communities and our families. And I'm just going to be jumping up and mixing up conversations. But this morning was our second great-grandchild. We had a naming ceremony for our granddaughter. And just the joy, I guess, of having little ones. How many of our women are blamed for stillbirths, of not coming full term, and nothing ever goes back to the nuclear contamination of the chemicals, the toxicity that the lab has put out. So there's a shadow that stops us from knowing who are the ones that promote the culture of violence and who are the ones that have to maintain hold of our inner soulfulness to keep the culture of peace alive. And it angers that we've lost generations. I've lost years in the sanitarium because I had tuberculosis, and they don't say that's a nuclear disease. We've lost our loved ones to cancer, tumors, thyroid diseases, and they don't say that's a nuclear disease. Diabetes is a nuclear disease, but they blame us for not taking care of ourselves. But how can you take care of yourself if those that are doing the harm aren't even held accountable? So I think art is a way to have that two contradictions be there and give you the strength to voice and come together in different arenas instead of just being anti-nuclear. But you're for life. You're for your children. You're for the animals, the plants, those that are perishing at an enormous rate, and we are shielded from having those conversations. So I'm glad we have this moment together.
So for me, I think, again, Table Women United has been really crucial in my own personal healing journey, and becoming a doula and a birth worker was one of my goals because of my grandma, Geneva Navarro, who is Comanche. She's 98. She was also a nurse just down the street at the Indian Hospital, and she really taught me about how to care for people. That's one of my interests, how to do first aid, how to care for people when they're sick. And then when I became very sick from an unknown cause in 2021, I had my community all around me. Even the moments that I don't remember, I had them all around me. I had their prayers all around me. And in a time when the earth is definitely having a moment and she's having tantrums and fits and trying to tell us that something's wrong, we do have the power to care for her. We have the power to care for each other. and know your plants, know your animals, know what the seasons look like, know what the stars look like, know what the phases of the moon are, what things look like before the weather comes, what things are normal, what things are going awry from your knowledge. Those things are important too. And part of our caring for each other is caring for Earth, and hopefully she'll see us caring for her and be able to care for us again.
I would agree with both of those, all of that, but especially the comments about being in community. For me, I found that the best way to heal, especially from the traumatic work that is nuclear safety work, is in community and grounding it in our cultural practices, which for me always comes back to land-based and water-based practices. I'm very lucky that I was raised very traditionally in my community, to learn, like Autumn's talking about, the ways of planting, when to plant, how to save seeds, how to forage for plants. And I think that there was a resurgence in that interest during the COVID-19 pandemic, right? Which coincidentally was when my first daughter was born. And, it was a way to go straight back to plants that I hadn't been in touch with for a long time. And for me, it's always coming back home, because I don't live in my village anymore. And I find that when I am with my elders, that is where I'm supposed to be to heal. When I'm with the children, like you talk about, Saya, that's where we're supposed to be in teaching them those ways, because my fear, and this is, it's a fear, but we offset it with the continuous practice, is that the kids won't grow up with that culture, right? Because if they don't know those ways, then that's how our culture dies. And so the biggest way that we push back against the colonialism, particularly the nuclear colonialism, is continuing those practices and teaching the kids and making sure that these little ones are here at these events, right? That they're picking up paintbrushes, that they're doing the language work that's so hard that we were just talking about earlier. Because teaching our kids our languages is the hardest thing, and we just can't stop. We have to be persistent. And I think all of those things are what heal us and continue to give us the gana, the animo to continue the work.
Yeah, can I just add to that, Myrriah reads the next question. The matriarchy.
In a minute, but I want to say something too.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so there's been a lot of talk about birth work, and I think it's interesting that the nuclear industrial complex uses birth terminology when talking about the birth of the atomic age, and also putting the names on bombs as they drop them, names of women and other. You could probably speak more to that, but it's interesting to note historically that when we saw the rise of the quote-unquote birth of the nuclear era, which was in the late 40s, early 50s, is also when you saw the subjugation of indigenous birth systems here in northern New Mexico. So that's when you also saw the imposition of the Indian Health Services, which took women from their birthing knowledge, herbal knowledge, birth working. Those were things that were in our community. You didn't go study to become a midwife. It was your aunties, your mothers, your grandmothers that helped you birth your children with that knowledge that had been passed down about herbal and plant medicines. So all that was subverted intentionally during that time, along with the introduction of the atomic era. So it's important to make that correlation when we talk about that, and that there is currently in this rematriation that we're talking about, there is a reclamation of birth knowledge, herbal knowledge happening in our communities and villages. There's Breath of My Heart Birth Center in Española, which is pretty much one of the only birth centers in the nation run and developed for indigenous peoples, and it is led by indigenous women. So look into them if you haven't. And so, yeah, just wanted to make that connection to birth work and the reclamation that we're doing here in our communities. And so for our final question, and it does revolve around rematriation, which is a practice honoring our original mother, Mother Earth, an effort to restore balance to a world so deeply out of balance. How do we invest in matriarchal practices to ensure our survival? Investment doesn't necessarily mean capitalism, but it also could, like donating to orgs like ours. But yes, how do we invest in matriarchal practices to ensure our survival?
Yeah, I was just thinking about my lineage and pueblo life, and I was always, I was born in 1950, so that was when the experiments were happening with creating the bomb. And so there was a lot of shaking, a lot of sound, but my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, we were all into pottery. And so we have the pottery lineage, and so it was being able to smell Mother Earth when you're mixing the clay, and in prayer when you get your volcanic ash, that is the temper and the clay itself. And then when the lab came in, you couldn't go up there to the sites where you would get your resources. And so as a child, you're sitting around playing, but they give you time when they're busy. They're in a circle and they're always talking as well. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes you hear the clicking of the polishing. But just the matriarchy of coming together to help each other. And so pottery itself, in a matriarchal way, was a circle, was a lot of people. And so when you got tired, you handed it to the next person, and they keep rubbing it in the next. And then when capitalism came in, they said, no, a signature, one person. It makes the value go up. And then so everything got infused with the culture of the violence that is imposed on women, taking away your right to be social. And so the word that, when we were going to school, that came up a lot was, we were, like now we are saying, we're in community, we know each other. But in a culture of violence, it's communism. It's, you can't be in a community. You have to be self. You have to be so taken apart. You're isolating. It becomes just one nuclear family, just mom and dad, instead of the extended family. So when we started doing the gathering for Mother Earth, it was community unity. And so just the concept of keeping people talking, sharing, nurturing each other, that is how you get back to being into relationality with all elements of life. And so what I wanted to say was that one of the cultural values that they always preach to us in our pueblos is Cuiwase Waviambe. Be as a man, be as a woman, be there for each other in the unity. And as you're flowing in with energy in and out, you have both energies. You have the manliness, you have the womanliness, you have that unity of one. And so to me, everything was translating from the cultural way of thinking and then the Euro-American way of thinking, which is the infinity loop was traveling in both worlds. So it's energy. So it's the energy that comes the strongest from the heart. And the heart energy goes in and out, around, cleanses, recharges. And then breath is possible, light is possible, so that we're not stuck in that culture of violence that tries to control and take away all those things of mobility, of being together. So I think it's very important that we culturally extend in all 7 directions, the cosmos, the 4 directions, Mother Earth, and inside of us, so that it's that fluidity of the infinity loop. So the sciences go hand in hand with trying to figure out what we as cultural peoples that are land-based practice every single day, giving love and thanks, having that generosity of sharing, caring, and being there for all people. And so it's really breaking or so much anger when our relatives in other parts of the world are being genocided. We went through that. We still are going through that. So everybody should be strong and strength 24/7. Charge and recharge your soulfulness. You have to undress, take away the negativity that keeps trying to come in there, and bless yourself with water. Drink the teas. Eat the plants that have the memory for you. And it's all in the mural. It's all, each part brings those different thoughts to the different pathways. So yes, I know they say, Tewa Women United, well, where's your men? Are you those men? We got to go against everything. I said, no, it's Kuiwa Sewa Vyombe. It's both. We're all in it together. We have that energy in us. Let us respect and honor and take each other along in helping in the recovery, in the cherishing, in the learning. And our children are watching. So it's not cross-generational, it's intergenerational. They're with us. They're experiencing it. They're smelling the clay when we're making it together. They're there when you're cooking the foods, and so their senses, all the 5 senses, should be involved in the growth of having a sense of community. Don't let the culture of violence take that away from you.
Yeah, well, first, we should all be donating to Three Sisters Collective, to Tewa Women United, to HOPE, to these other organizations. So I just want to encourage you all to do that. Following my own advice, all the proceeds, all the what they call royalties that I make off my book go to community organizations. I'm donating every cent that I get from the book, and I always tell people that. But I think that, capitalism especially has created this, it's an extension, it is the root of nuclear colonialism, and it's created something really yucky among us, which is competition. And I think that one thing that I try, and when I fail, I try and try again, is to do community-minded work, right? It's not about the individual, it's about the collective, and trying to center that, and bringing people into the conversations. And, like Eileen and I, we had 2 different classes, we brought them together, we co-taught a class. These are the things that we need to be doing to support each other, right? This society and colonialism tells us to be individualist and individualistic, but that's not how we were raised. We know that's not the way that we succeed, that we endure. And so, for me, bringing the matriarchy and the matrilineal culture in society is always bringing the collective. And I'll tell a story that I feel like I've been telling a lot lately, which is about my youngest kiddo, who her name is Mariquita, and we call her Kita. But my great-grandmother was Francisquita, and they called her Mama Kika. And a few months ago, out of the clear blue sky, Mahita told us her name was not Kita, her name was Kika, that she wanted to be called Kika. And my older daughter goes, the ancestors want us to call her Kika. And it was a reminder that we're always getting these messages, and that we always have to be paying attention, because if we're not paying attention, we're going to miss those messages. And so I'm so glad to be here with all of you. I don't know why I'm so chiona today. Wow. It's the energy. See, this is what happens with strong female energy, I think. I'm going to leave it at that.
It's good, though, to be able to be emotional. I think that's reclaiming our matriarchy, and doing that in public space, that's reclaiming our matriarchal ways. Rematriation is, to me, allowing all the mothers to go back to the earth, whatever that means to you. It could be at any point in our life cycles. But to allow us to go back and get our strength from the earth and get our strength from each other. And I have really been learning a lot about that as I grow and as I become a parent figure and as I become a mentor to younger folks, to reclaim that of what my grandmothers all were to our family. And we used to have lots and lots of grandmas in my families, but now we don't. And like we're saying, like we're going to have to be the ones to pick that up, or no one else will. We'll just all be running the rugged individualism train, and that's not real to us. We can try, but where I have seen families and people try to go along with that model, things don't go too well and things get hard. And without our support for each other, for our support as family members and as community members, to be that nurturing person to ourselves and each other, to know that we're going to fall, we're going to fail, we're not all going to be perfect, and to be okay with that, to pick each other up after that, and to help each other up after that. I, like Dr. Christina was saying, I don't expect anybody to be a perfect artist when they're working with me, because having perfection is just not realistic. It's more about the experience. It's more about the confidence that you create as you're being creative with Creator, and experimenting and, learning something new about yourself. Creating in community has, I think really done that. I've been helping out some artists over the summer create their own murals, and the confidence as artists and as peoples and as future leaders that I see for all of them blossoming is just so rewarding. It's more rewarding than, well, maybe not more rewarding, but it's just as rewarding as coming up with something so large with my community. So, yes, I think that if you have the choice to be an individual or to nurture, choosing nurturance is going to assist us in reclaiming a matriarchal point of view.
I just wanted to explain the buffalo that's here. The buffalo, in doing pottery, it starts out with the iron oxide that's coated onto the clay, and that iron oxide is rubbed with a stone. And when we, in our circle of our potters, when I was going to school, I had written a poem, and that poem was with that, God, we're sitting around blood. Look at that, what red? It's just blood. We're sweating it, they're talking it. But that iron oxide, when it's fired, turns black. And so that means that the clay and the materials are very porous. And so the misconception is that, the value of the pottery is so glossy, so shiny. Once they buy it, then it's put in a display case and stuff. But the more you handle the pottery, the more your oils fill up the porosity, and it becomes like a stone. It becomes hard. And so creations in clay are meant to be held, meant to be used, meant to have that spirit in them, be able to pass on the energy to do good. So the bowls that are in like some of the research centers, some of the other places, they're in vaults. And when we took my grandparents to one of those centers, they were like, oh, the pots are crying. Look, they're supposed to be medicine bowls. They're supposed to be serving food. They were created for it. And so the pots were talking to them, and they were relating. So energy is always transformed into many different pathways. So you're welcome to come and rub the buffalo here. and feel the energy that it takes to put that loving, caring, sharing into pottery so that you can feel that smoothness. But it was all that loving that you're putting in. So when the grandmothers have made those lavender pouches out there for you as well, and that they go in with good thoughts. May this lavender that's here bring goodness, take away the stress. May this sage that we're putting in here bring that, cleanse the air for you so that you can breathe again. Or so all the good thoughts are in things that are being created with a traveling entity that's going to be generations forward and bringing generations from the past. So the past, the present, and the future are one pathway. And then if you put that into the scientific infinity loop, that it's from the moment something happens, that moment is forever. So make sure that what your thoughts are, they're going to be there to guide into the future. And then the future is already envisioned with that goodness, and that goodness comes back into the cosmos and travels back to the galaxy, back to the cosmic centering, back to that energy, and then it gets recharged and comes back in. So everything of Mother Earth has an infinity loop to it. And we, each single individual, we have water, right? So we're like the little teardrops. Each one of us has the altogether of all the beings, all the life forms of Mother Earth, create that one hope for life, for the future. So don't let a culture of violence stop that, destroy that. You have the voice, you have the prayers, you have the thoughts, you have the unity to be there for each other. So spread this from the center that's here with us. You have circles, and it's the small circles that influence the bigger circles. So don't think that one little thing that you did is too small or insignificant. It's very big because you're starting to get the ripple. You're moving that air. So if you can't change anyone else but yourself, so touch within and move forward. Touch within, and others are also in that circle of receiving that goodness from you. So be thankful, and I thank each and every one of you for being here and having that hold for us too as well, and helping us in our grief and our loss to also be there for each other. You send that good thoughts and prayers as the people are dying and suffering in Palestine and all the different country worlds, how they're being genocided, and we've gone through that. We still have that pain, and we still have to go forward in having the goodness cleanse us 24/7. So be there for each other. Be there for your families that don't see the light yet. By having your flame, your fire, your goodness, that's going to help start to melt that hardness away from their center too. So good night.
There's things I wanted to say, but I think that was fitting. I think we need to end there. No, that was beautiful. Thank you again, panelists, for taking time out of your busy lives to be with us today, as well as all of you in the Oga Po'geh community. It's important that we start to build bridges between our respective demographics and perceived differences in order to create the desired future where we, as well as our lands and waterways, are all free of harm. Thank you. We have some gifts for you, courtesy of Took. Thank you, Took, for putting those together for them. We invite you to join us for a meal. We will have food in the back, and we have Eileen and the in-betweens are going to share some of their musical offerings with us. Say hi to somebody you don't know. Make a new friend. That's how we build community here. And we look forward to seeing you at future events, and enjoy the mural. And thank you. And get Myrriah's book in the library or at your local independent bookstore. Ta'a, thank you so much.